health, and longevity. If you want to consume more plant-based foods, if you want to abstain from junk foods, if you want to consume fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, and herbs, and avoid dead flesh, artificial flavors and colorings, sweeteners, anything that is unreal basically, purchase this particular manual, The Easiest Way to Become a Vegan by Pharaoh Ramesses El-Aton, who has been a vegan 40 plus years. He will take you step by step on how to abstain from the junk foods, how to abstain from the dead flesh, the chicken, the turkey, the pork, beef, and all sorts of animal products. Purchase this particular manual, The Easiest Way to Become a Vegan, to eat more natural. Remember that the herbs are for the healing of the nations. Let food be your medicine and let medicine be your food. Consume of every fruit-bearing and herb-bearing tree. Unto you it shall be for meat. Purchase this particular manual, The Easiest Way to Become a Vegan by Pharaoh Ramesses El-Aton. Peace, health, and longevity.
Greeting one and all. Greetings, greetings, greetings. Hope y'all having a great day. Let's get started. Good to see you, more power. Michael, Hawkeye, Roster Man. Well, there's a lot going on this month. Good to see you, G-Rod. This is Cancer Awareness Month. No. I think this is Heart Health Awareness Month, for dealing with heart disease and things like that. We'll be talking about that all month. And what's crazy is that there's so many awareness months that they overlap which is just absolutely crazy. That's just ridiculous. There's so many awareness months that they overlap. There's 24 awareness months, and there's only 12 months in the year. And this is medical awareness months. That's absolutely insane. For real. I'm doing good, Ross. But today we're going to be talking about cancer in the Black community. The NAACP has come out and they want to declare cancer in the Black community as a public health crisis. That's how serious things have gotten. Things have gotten so serious that they want to declare for the Black community that cancer is a public health crisis. That's how bad it is. That's how many foundational Black Americans have cancer. It's almost at an epidemic proportion. It's not really being reported. But it's bad. And we don't have the media to keep up with that, nor do we have the interest to keep up with that. Our interests, I don't know what to tell you. When it comes to foundational Black Americans and Blacks worldwide, health is very unimportant. We also choose to be non-believers. So we kind of choose to not believe anything that makes us have to eat different. When it comes to eating different, we choose to not believe that what we eat is unhealthy, to ignore it, basically. We don't take it serious whatsoever. It's kind of like a joke. You know, it's a joke. It's not a serious matter. And so no matter how many times people are told to try to eat better, they won't do it. They just won't. If you're looking at the case with Irv Gotti, rest in peace to Irv Gotti, his statements pretty much summed up the Black community. he said, it's reversible. He had diabetes, and he said, it's reversible, but you got to change the way you eat, all that. But you know what's effed up with diabetes. So anything you're going to like or taste good is horrible for you. Now, that's some nasty stuff. Broccoli. You're supposed to eat some leaves and stuff like that. So here you got a guy that's supposed to be a millionaire, made a lot of money in the music business, supposed to be highly intelligent. But yet he don't know how to prepare healthy food to make it taste good with all that money. He was lying. He just never had no interest in it. He was in a situation financially where he could have got some chefs to make him some good healthy food. So it wasn't about eating healthy. It was about the fact he just did not want to stop eating what he was eating and drinking what he was drinking. He just didn't want to stop. And so when they don't want to stop, they put down the food that you have to eat to change. You know what I'm saying? So, you're supposed to eat this, but you're eating that. And so rather than really look at what you're eating, you say, "Oh no, this is no good, and that's not healthy." People, the food, the lettuce be having salmonella on it, and you start trying to find some type of way where something's wrong with the vegetables. The vegetables ain't good. The vegetables, this is GMO. You start. You don't never analyze what you're eating. You analyze what you're told you should eat, and you're very picky on that. That's just a game. The horrible thing about it is a game that you play with yourself, and you're just playing with yourself, which I don't understand that. I don't understand how you trick yourself out of being healthy. It's just mind-boggling. And all of a sudden, you don't know how to do any research to verify what you should be eating. But you try to be an intellectual. It's just ridiculous. Even when it comes to your family, you lose all sense of history and intelligence because you're either your grandparents or your great grandparents. Those in your family that grew up in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, they ate a lot of vegetables. You don't eat like them. Even down south, you don't, you don't eat like your relatives that was born in the 20s and 30s and 40s. You don't eat like that. So there's evidence that Black Americans came up on a way of eating that was high in fruits and vegetables. These is all facts. These are absolute facts. And so if you're younger, what you do is you you lean towards what your parents ate and that generation that didn't eat right. You point at them and you try to find people in that generation. Oh, my uncle, man, he ate whatever, man. He lived to 90. You know. And what happens in the Black community is we pick that one person that lived to 90, 95, and we ignore all of those relatives. I get it all the time. A person come over and they'll pick that one person, my uncle. If I say name 10 more, they came. Knowing that when they tell me about this uncle that lived to 95, knowing how many people just died, just totally trying to play me like I don't know that people is dropping like flies in your family. Let's take my mother, for example. She was hard-headed. She didn't listen to me, but it made sense. You know, I went plant-based when I was 20 years old. It was 1978. My mother was born in 1935. So I was 20 years old. And Dick Gregory was the only person that kind of talked about it, and they barely had him on television at that point. When Dick Gregory smoked cigarettes and drank liquor, they had him on Johnny Carson stuff all the time. But when he went plant-based, they didn't have him on anymore. And so when I changed and started eating a certain type of way, my parents didn't pay much attention. But my mother and father was part of the Great Migration. When they came to Chicago, they brought the way they ate in Alabama with them. And so I was born in 1958. So from 1958 to, I would say, 1968, we pretty much ate the traditional way that Black Americans ate, which was a fruit bowl in the kitchen that was always full of tangerines or oranges, right? They didn't buy many apples, my parents. I don't know why, but they definitely bought a lot of oranges and tangerines was their favorite. They bought grapefruits all the time. My father would give us grapefruits for breakfast with our cereal. They bought bananas. They ate lots of corn on the cob, sweet potatoes, black-eyed peas, string beans, cabbage, collard greens, mustard greens, turnip greens, cornbread, lots of walnuts, pecans, lots of walnuts and pecans, peanuts. One of our biggest snacks was popcorn that they popped themselves straight from the kernels. The number one drink in the 60s for the Black community all over America, the number one drink, and a lot of people won't hardly believe this, the number one drink in Black America in the 60s was ice water. Ice water was bigger than soda. Every family had a jug in the refrigerator with water in it. And it was a tradition when someone came by and visit, the first thing you offered people, especially in the summertime, was a glass of ice water. You don't see that anymore. You don't see that. There's no pitcher of water in the refrigerators anymore. Well, now the refrigerator makes your water for you. So I guess people drink it like that, put your glass on the refrigerator. So that's probably why you don't see the pitcher. But people don't drink water like that too much anymore. I think a lot of refrigerators are starting not to put the water thing on it anymore. I don't think I see them on the newer versions. I think they took the water drink off. I'm trying to think of my friends that's just bought homes and got refrigerators. They don't have that on their refrigerator anymore. It's probably not the best water because you probably got to, how you going to clean that? So I wouldn't want to drink that anyway. Because how you going to clean that? You know, that's been a problem at restaurants. They're telling you don't get ice at restaurants because the ice machine is filthy. So we in a situation where, we're not doing so well. And my mother's mother, she lived 117 years. She lived 117 years. My mother only lived into her 70s. She ended up passing away from cancer of the uterus. Because it's not just the food, it's the, my mother and them came up, they had all this Avon and all this powder and talcum powder and all this stuff they was putting on their bodies to smell good. The same way they're doing our women now. Your woman's putting all that stuff on her face. What's in that stuff? What's in your woman? What's in your wife's lipstick? You don't know. You just think she looks cute. Keep rubbing that red stuff on her lips. But why would you rub something on your lips and you don't know what's in it? What's in it? You don't know. And you kissing her and she's swallowing that lipstick. That makeup is going into her face, going into her skin. That eyeshadow, the toxins off of the fake eyelashes, the toxins in the nail polish, where when the black woman goes to get her nails, feet done, those Koreans got masks on, which tell you right there why they got masks on. So we're in an entire toxic world. So even though the NAACP is calling for a declaration of cancer being a public health crisis in the black community, I guarantee you, if you go to the NAACP, any office, they're full of toxins and they're eating all kinds of stuff. They're not. I don't know. I don't know if it's some just something so that they can look busy. But I don't believe they're serious about that because they haven't been pushing any health initiatives or no food ideologies or anything like that. The NAACP hasn't been doing anything. They're putting out this declaration about cancer in the black community while their whole office is cancerous. Everybody in there is consuming cancerous substances, foods, using cancerous products. That's where we're at today. I mean, the you're going to die anyway concept is something that it's no way to get rid of it because when they say it, they don't mean it. G-Ra, they don't mean it. So it's no way to get rid of it because they don't mean it. It's just like Irv Gotti. Like they don't actually mean that. They're just saying anything because they don't want to change the way they eat. So they don't really believe in that principle. These is all like distractions so that they can just eat what they want to eat. So it's no way you can get rid of that saying because they're not honest when they say that. They're not honest. So you can't get rid of it because it's not a legitimate, they're not saying it legitimately. It reminds me when I was taking care of my father, when I first started going live, I was taking care of my father. He was in his 80s and he was wilting away. And I was reflecting how my mother had already passed away some years before him. And I said to him, Dad, do you think if maybe you and Mom would have ate better, you think the outcome would have been better? And he said, boy, you're going to be just like me. And how I raise my knowledge is I analyze statements. I don't just shoot off at the mouth. So when my father said, boy, you're going to be just like me, I didn't say anything. I thought about it. I started analyzing him and I started analyzing me. And I was in my late 50s. And I was in my mid 50s. And I'm thinking and I'm thinking and I'm thinking. And I'm thinking about my father's health. And then it hit me. And so I told my father, I said, Dad, you fell out on the side of the house. You've been on high blood pressure medicine since you was 40. And I'm 50-something. I'm already beating you. I said, Dad, you've been on high blood pressure medicine for over 40 years. So there's no way I'm going to be like you. The only way I could be like you, I would have already been on high blood pressure medicine 15 years. And he said, you're right. I said, I know I am. You know, he said, you're right. Yeah, I'm right. He tried to run a quick one on me. But what he said was totally incorrect. My daddy's been unhealthy he was unhealthy half of his life. Half of his life, he had to be on medication. And I remember I was young when he first had to start taking his high blood pressure medicine. Because he had me, he was like 20 something. So he was 40, so I was in my teens. And I remember it made him, he didn't feel well. The high blood pressure medicine made him feel sicker. And I remember him telling me, he said, I don't feel well with this high blood pressure medicine. He said, because when you got high blood pressure, son, you get used to feeling that way with the high blood pressure. And so when they get your blood pressure down, you don't feel well because you got so used to living with high blood pressure. So for them to analyze my father as having high blood pressure in his 40s, my father had high blood pressure probably in his 30s. It just got bad in the 40s where he had to go to the doctor. So imagine being that young with high blood pressure and have to be on high blood pressure medicine the rest of your life. So when they say, G-Rod, you're going to die anyway, that's not true. You're going to be sick a long time. You don't just die. You get sick. You get diabetes. A leg or a foot swells up. You might have to get a toe amputated. Then you might have to eventually get all the toes amputated. Then you might have to get the foot amputated. Then up to the knee. And then the other leg, you don't have to go through that process. You're usually just going to lose that leg up to the knee too. And then you're going to pass away like my childhood friend, Jesse. that I grew up with. I watched Jesse sit on the porch and they cut off a part of his foot and one leg and the other leg, and then he passed away. And so, no, you don't die anyway. My mother, she didn't just die. She suffered tremendously before she passed away. That cancer was brutal. It was brutal and extremely painful. Something, it's like torture. So that's a false statement that you're going to die anyway. That's not true, y'all. You're going to be sick a long time. Now, sometimes, no, you'll just have a stroke or a heart attack and it's over with. But in a lot of cases, you live in a prison of pain. Irv Gotti didn't feel well for many, many years. Don Juan just got a leg amputated. Probably so. Because he was always drinking and he wasn't taking care of himself. And he was sick. He had all the fancy clothes on. He had all the jewelry on. He had the car. But he put all them things over his health. You know what I'm saying? It's just the life we live. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to look into that, Hawkeye. You say, and why not? You say, why not do the right thing by your family and not put them through the burden to take care of you? Because, G-Rock, not eating right is a form of unintelligence. You lack intelligence. So people will be like, what do you mean? Some of these people are doctors. See, let me break down intelligence. Intelligence has a lot of different fields. So when you go to school, you could get an A in math, but you could still fail science. So you have intelligence in math, but you don't have any intelligence in science. You could still fail and get a D in reading or a C in reading. You can get a C in reading and an A in math. Means your intelligence is higher in math, but not so high in reading. And so healthcare takes an intelligence. And this is an intelligence that nobody works on. You have to study math. You have to study English. You have to study science. You have to read to be good at reading. And to really deal with health, you have to look into it, which nobody does that. Why you think it's only 13 people over here watching? Nobody wants any health intelligence. Because health intelligence challenge what you like. And the food industry does all type of scientific experiments on the food just to make your senses like it. They're selling you based on your senses and your taste buds. They're not selling you based on your colon, your kidney, your heart, your blood. They're not selling you based on that. They're selling you just on your taste buds. Just get your taste buds to chew this stuff and swallow it or to drink this stuff. That's it. No intelligence. When it comes to Black Americans, a lot of Black Americans' intelligence when it comes to eating It's kindergarten, first grade. You don't know nothing. That's why you don't have science in kindergarten. You don't really have advanced math in kindergarten because you don't know nothing. They're totally unintelligent. Until Black Americans start reading the ingredients and looking up the dangers of the ingredients, it ain't no hope for you. There's no hope for you if you just buy a package and just eat it. I went vegan when I was 20 years old, and the main difference between my life now and what it was is I read everything. I'm not eating nothing until I know what this stuff is. And I'm going to do research on this stuff. I don't care. Even if it's plant-based, I got to do research on it. Like I bought some protein powder and it has stevia in it. I'm like, what is stevia? I looked up stevia and it says some people don't like it because it could cause some complications. So I don't. And so then I looked at another protein powder and it said no stevia. So that's intelligence. Why does this one specifically let us know no stevia? That means there's a problem with stevia for this particular product. This plant-based protein powder is telling me no stevia. Why are they saying that? See, this is intellect. I know why they saying it. The only reason they putting that on their product because a lot of people don't want no stevia. So they let you know, I know you don't want no stevia. This product don't have stevia in it. So you have to read. Because opium is a plant. The coca leaf is a plant. Poison ivy is a plant. We're not just plant-based vegans. We're trying to eat well, which means we're looking into that too. We prefer dates and date sugar and date syrup over brown sugar because dates don't spike your blood levels. Dates don't do that. So it takes intelligence and it takes concern for your health, which Black Americans overall don't have. That's why Black Americans are still dying of cancer at the highest rates. Black women exhibit higher risk of breast cancer mortality than white women. Why? Because whites have developed health intelligence. Now, Black people are the fastest growing group of vegans because we're getting it percentage wise. The biggest percentage of people that's going vegan in any race is Black Americans. Foundational Black Americans are going plant-based more than anybody. So we're getting there. We're getting there because of the constant deaths, and now Black Americans are looking at it and saying, wait a minute. Wait, hold on. You don't think Don Juan's son is thinking them? Whoa. If the story is true, let me look it up. I got to see if that's true. I don't think the story is showing up yet. I don't see the story yet. So I don't see the story yet. Oh, well, I'll keep my eye open for it. It's probably not nothing that they trying to promote or talk about much. Black men and prostate cancer. Black men are 50% more likely to develop prostate cancer in their lifetime. Prostate cancer is the second leading cause of cancer death in men. More than 3.1 million men in the U.S. are living with prostate cancer. African American men are 2.2 times as likely as white men to die from prostate cancer. So we're over twice as likely to die from prostate cancer. If you come to Chicago soon as spring hit, and I drive you around Chicago, and I can drive you early in the morning, 6, 7 in the morning, 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning, you will see white Americans out jogging, running. They got local gyms, so they don't got to go to the big LA Fitness. They have little small one-story gyms with like 2 sides where you see them in there working out. If you come to Chicago, we have Lakeshore Drive, and Lakeshore Drive goes down the whole Chicago. So it goes all the way from Rainbow Beach in the black community in the 70s, all the way up to the north side. And if you start on the south side of Chicago and you would ride your bike on Lakeshore Drive all the way to the north side, what you would notice is when you're in the black neighborhood, you're going to see them standing around their cars. You're going to see them smoking. You're going to see them drinking. You're going to see them like lounging, like with blankets, enjoying sitting outside. You're going to see them barbecuing meat and stuff, right? Once you get close to downtown, you're going to start seeing whites on bikes, on rollerblades, jogging, playing volleyball. You're going to see physical activity. Once you leave the black community and you get to the white, where the whites live, and you get to where there's more mixed, because there's blacks live north too, but it's all of the whites live mostly north. By the time you get downtown, you're going to see whites on bikes. I did a couple of lives on my bike, and I was showing the scenery. And if you would have seen those, you'll see that everybody that ride past me, 99% of the people that rode past me was white. Every blue moon, I'd ride past another black person out here working out, riding a bike. They have the divvy bikes, and the divvy bikes mostly get rented up in the white communities. The blacks, they ain't out exercising like that. The only black people that you see exercising is brothers playing basketball. That's it. You do see a lot of black men playing ball. Yeah, allegedly. So we have to see. We'll look into it with the thing with Don Juan. That's allegedly. I don't know if that's true or not. But he has been very sick. He has been in the hospital. Recently, he was in there, and he didn't look well. So recently, he's been in the hospital. and he hasn't been looking too well. But you know, they don't take care of themselves. You know what I'm saying? Cervical cancer. Black women are dying of cervical cancer twice as much as white women. Just look. Prostate cancer, the black man twice as much. Cervical cancer, twice as much. We don't have the same insurance policies. We don't have the same doctors. And then we don't listen to the doctors. Doctors don't do no good. And our doctors is just as unhealthy as we are. Stomach cancer incidence is roughly 2 times higher, and death rates are more than 2-fold higher in black communities than whites. So when you look at every form of cancer, we twice as likely. We getting it 2 times more than everybody else. Colorectal cancer rates are about 20% higher in black Americans than in white Americans. But death rates are almost 40% higher for black people. So we down almost 50%, 40% faster than white Americans from colon cancer. Stomach cancer, twice as likely to die. Cervical cancer, twice as likely to die. Prostate cancer, over twice as likely to die. Breast cancer, higher than Europeans. And right now, black Americans will see this, but they want to go watch about Diddy, what's going on with Diddy. They want to go watch what's going on with what WAC 100 is saying. They want to go and watch and see what's going on with all the big gossip stories, Big Meech and 50 Cent. That's what they want to see. And you can look at Big Meech. He don't look well to me. He looks very unhealthy. Big Meech look a mess. He don't look that healthy. And 50 Cent is trying his best to fight what the food is doing to him. It's swelling him up. You know, 50 fighting it. You know what I'm saying? So he can keep his rap career going, his look on. But 50 fighting it. Sometimes 50 head be swole up. He'd be all swole up. There's no telling how much he's doing to try to fight that. But he need to change the way he eating. The way 50 eating is catching up with him too. It's catching up with him. For sure. I seen him like last year, he had a lump of fat right behind his neck. I said, man, Phil, come on, bro. You gotta do better than that. You gotta change what you eat. I don't know what he's eating, but it doesn't make no sense to me because when we tell people to eat better, a lot of people say it's too expensive, which it does cost more for the whole foods. But so these guys is rich. So make it make sense. So it costs more. So I can see for poor people and hardworking people, yeah, that you got to figure that out. But these guys is rich. They can be getting imported fruit with seeds if they want it. But even the idea that it's expensive is not really true because people don't want to realize that beans and rice is not expensive. And in a lot of these countries where they eat a lot of beans and rice, they don't get as sick as we do. So it doesn't cost much for beans and rice and chop up some vegetables in it. It doesn't cost much for cornmeal or whole wheat to make your bread or whatever. That doesn't cost a lot. Come on. That doesn't cost a lot. That's all false. As much, even the more expensive plant-based food is cheaper than the dozen eggs right now. Steaks and eggs is way more than your most expensive vegan food. That's a fact. That's a fact. McDonald's is $15. You can't get no cheap McDonald's no more. So that old myth that eating right is expensive, that's washing away. Because my friends that eat regular, that's got 2 or 3 kids, their grocery bill is over $200 a week. Facts. It don't cost me nowhere near no $200. Even if I had 3 kids, a wife and 3 kids, it would not cost me nowhere near no $200 a week. Nowhere. That's crazy. It wouldn't cost me that much to feed them, unless they want to eat a bunch of burgers and fish and animals. Then it would cost me, yeah. But fruits and vegetables is a lot cheaper, especially when you look at your grains. Your grains save you a lot of money. You save a lot of money with red beans, black eyed peas. You save a lot of money. Brown rice, basmati rice, jasmine rice, you save a lot of money with that. It is cheaper. They just be saying it's expensive because they think they're supposed to go in there and buy plant-based meats and stuff. But you don't need that stuff. You don't need that. You don't need to buy that stuff like that. You can make that yourself. You can make your own patties yourself. You can make your own meats. No, I haven't been to the doctor. I went to the doctor when I got COVID, but I didn't know I had COVID. I had the hiccups. I would go to a doctor, but I just go to a doctor for a diagnosis. I don't take nothing they gave me. But since 1978, since the late 70s when I changed the way I ate, I've only been to the doctor because of an emergency when I got stabbed. And the other time I've been to the doctor was I broke my finger. And the other time I've been to the doctor is when I had the hiccups and they wouldn't go away. And I found out, and they gave me some medicine, I didn't take it. And then I found out I had COVID, but I didn't go to the doctor for the COVID. I went to the doctor for the hiccups just to get a diagnosis. So I haven't been to the doctor for any medical stuff but these hiccups that wouldn't go away. And that was because I had COVID, it did something. And that's in 47, almost 50 years. I haven't been sick and went to no doctor or no hospital. I don't be getting sick. I don't be getting a common cold like other people get a cold. Like when I was young, I used to get a cold, chest hurting, coughing, and throat real. So I don't get those now. If I don't even call it a cold. I just get mucus. So the same thing that used to make me sick, the same colds that used to make me sick, if I catch that cold now, I won't get sick. I'll just have a bunch of mucus I keep spitting up and blowing out. I'll be blowing my nose. You know what I'm saying? So if you see me and you'll see me over here and if you see me blowing my nose, you say, well, I thought you don't get sick. The crazy thing about it is, even though I might blow my nose all day with mucus coming out, I don't be sick though. when I was young, I used to actually feel sick and the mucus wouldn't come out. The mucus would stay. And that's why you had a chest cold and a headache. But now, because my body is clean, if I get some type of virus or whatever it is that causes a cold and it gets in my body, it hops right out and I don't feel bad. So I could blow my nose all day, but I feel great. Whereas when I was young, man, bad headaches, that chest where your chest hurt. I haven't had my chest haven't hurt when I cough for 50 years, for like 47, 48 years. I remember, I have to think back, I was young. I was like high school. When the last time my chest was hurting, I was in high school, like back in the 70s. Or when you get that headache where you can barely walk down the street. I don't get headaches. Haven't had a headache in almost 50 years. 47, 48 years, I haven't had a headache. What is a headache? What is a sore throat? I've only had one sore throat in 47, 48 years, and that's what's COVID. And that, we don't even talk about what that was. You know what that was. That's why my body didn't have no immunity to it. Because that was something new. It won't do nothing to me now. Now that it ran through my body, COVID won't do nothing to me. It won't do nothing because I already built up an immunity to it now. It was just foreign. It was foreign to my body. But all the other bases, cold, flu, all that, my body, that ain't going to do nothing to me. The flu, what the heck is the flu? I haven't had the flu since the 70s. So let's look at what the NAACP is saying in detail. The NAACP calls for cancer to be declared a public health crisis in the Black community. The resolution stems from data by the U.S. Centers of Disease Control and Prevention. The NAACP is urging the declaration of cancer as a public health crisis in the Black community in response to research from the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, showing that Black people have the highest rates of cancer diagnosis and fatalities across various types. The organization is calling for local, state, and federal authorities to explore meaningful strategies to advance cancer health equity, reduce risk and exposure, and lower cancer incidence prevalence rates among Black individuals. The NAACP wants stronger efforts to promote health equity, prevent cancer, and encourage early detection and treatment for those most vulnerable to cancer fatalities. They are also advocating for improved supportive care and survivorship program, as well as elimination of out-of-pocket screening costs, common barriers that often result in untreated cancer. The organization encourages the use of its established model, the accountability for cancer through undoing racism, which employs multi-level approaches to address disparities in cancer treatment and outcomes, ensuring the comprehensive needs of the community are met. According to research from the CDC, Black people have the highest death rate for cancer overall, despite being the third largest ethnic racial group behind white and Hispanic people. Black people have a lower overall 5-year cancer survival rate than white people and are more likely than white people to be diagnosed with female breast, lung, and colorectal cancers at a late stage. The CDC emphasized that many cancers can be prevented by avoiding the use of tobacco, maintaining a healthy weight, consuming a high fiber, nutrient rich diet, staying physically active, limiting alcohol intake, and receiving the HPV vaccine on schedule. Public health research also highlights the importance of screening tests, which can either prevent certain cancers or detect them early when treatment is often effective. However, despite these preventive measures, the numbers still reflect clear disparities impacting the Black community. Among them include the American Cancer Society finding that while Black women have a 4% lower incidence of breast cancer than white women, they face a 40% higher mortality rate. They are also nearly 3 times more likely to be diagnosed with triple negative breast cancer, a subtype associated with poor outcomes due to limited treatment options. Research shows that Black women are about 30% more likely to die from these tumors than white women, partly due to lower rates of surgery and chemotherapy. Although breast cancer in men is rare, a recent study revealed that Black men have a 52% higher incidence rate than white men and are twice as likely to develop TNBC. Lung cancer is the leading cause of cancer-related deaths among Black men and the second leading cause among Black women. Disproportionately impacts the Black community. Black men and women are less likely than their white counterparts to be diagnosed at an early stage when the cancer is more treatable, contributing to lower survival rates. Colorectal cancer is one of the leading causes of cancer and cancer-related deaths among both men and women in the U.S., with the Black community facing a disproportionate burden. Black Americans have the highest rates of colorectal cancer compared to any racial ethnic group, being about 20% more likely to develop the disease and 40% more likely to die from it than most other groups. Public health research indicates that Black men face a 1 in 6 chance of developing prostate cancer during their lifetime. They are 1.7 times more likely to be diagnosed with the disease and 2.1 times more likely to die from it compared to white men. In light of the disproportionate impact of cancer on Black communities, the NAACP is urging immediate action and advocating for policies, practices, procedures at national, state, and local levels to reduce cancer rates and health disparities. The organization aims to collaborate with health systems and community partners to promote cancer health equity and address local disparities effectively. They said everything, but they just ran past eat better. They pushing to go get tested. Go get tested. Go get early treatment. So they teaching to find it earlier. They're not teaching to prevent it. They're saying the problem is we can't find it as early as the whites finding it early, which might be true. But they just saying let's find it early. They didn't address artificial flavors, artificial colors, preservatives. They didn't address all of these chemicals in our clothes, all these chemicals in our sheets and bed sheets and carpets. They didn't address forever chemicals. They didn't address none of that. They didn't address all this plastic. Watch this. Look at this. Check this out. It's going to blow your mind. Your brain may have a plastic spoon's worth of microplastics. This is a new study just came out. This is how much microplastic they saying is in a lot of people's brains. A spoon's worth might be in my brain right now. A recent study found high levels of microplastic in the human brain, accumulating over time to equivalent of a plastic spoon and raising concerns about their potential link to neurological disease. Microplastics have been found in the human brain accumulating over time to about a spoonful or potentially more according to a recent study. The study published Monday in Nature Medicine found high concentrations of microplastic in human brains, higher than in any other organ, raising questions about their potential role in neurological disease. The research out of the University of New Mexico Health Science found that plastic accumulation in the brain has surged by 50% over the past 8 years, with dementia patients showing up to 10 times the plastic levels compared to others. We start thinking that maybe these plastics obstruct blood flow in the capillaries. Lead author and toxicologist Matthew Kaplan said in a media release. There's the potential that these nanomaterials interfere with the connections between axons in the brain. They could also be a seed for aggregation of proteins involved in dementia. We just don't know. And I'm going to do a whole live on that because that's going to take a whole hour, okay? You know what I mean? That's going to take a minute. Think about it. People are walking around with a spoon, a plastic spoon size of amount of plastic in their brain, enough to make a plastic spoon in your brain. That's a lot of plastic. And every time you get takeout food, they give it to you in these little plastic containers. Your water is in plastic. Everything is in plastic. All your food is wrapped up in plastic. You go to Whole Foods, you get your vegetables, you got to put it in that little plastic. You got to put it in the plastic. Think about that. I've been trying to cut back and use glass. You see, I keep the bottle and I put my water in there from my Berkey and I mix my whatever I want to make and make my own drink. I'm trying to slowly. I have it by plastic bottles. You know what I'm saying? But I'm surrounded by plastic. Surrounded. All my takeout food be like in some plastic. Some people got the reused cardboard stuff. They need to all switch to that. They need to switch to that cardboard containers. But they like the plastic because it's going to keep the food warm. They put in that black plastic. They said the black plastic is the worst. They put in the black plastic with the clear plastic top on your food when you get takeout. When I go to the Jamaican restaurant and get my cabbage or beans or rice and plantain, they put it in that black plastic. And that plastic is going all in my food. The only thing I got going for me is I bet you a lot of plant food eliminated though. I'm sure that my plant-based way of eating is eliminating a lot of that, making it where it'll pass through my body instead of just sitting there. But imagine you got plastic and you just eating burgers and fries and chicken and stuff. You ain't eating nothing to help cleanse your body. So that plastic is just going to sit there. Because, see, a lot of people don't know that you have to eat these plants to add nutrition and health to your body, but also to fight the poisons that you're still getting. You understand? So just because I've been plant-based now for 47 years, I'm still surrounded by toxins. So these limes, these onions, these garlic, these plants are going in there fighting the toxins. So it's not just building your body up, it's also fighting against unnatural things. Because the plants have not been thoroughly researched. They don't know everything the plants do. The plants are our better health. We breathe out carbon monoxide, right? And these plants like this, which this ain't even no plant, I don't think. I think this is plastic. See, this is a plastic plant. This is crazy. Why? I'm in somebody else's place. That's a plastic plant. But if this was a real plant, which is crazy, this is plastic. It's just really crazy, right? What a great example. This ain't even a real plant. Like, what are we doing? Anyway, if this was a real plant, I would breathe out carbon monoxide. It would take it in, and then it would shoot back out oxygen. Unfortunately, this is plastic, and it's probably shooting out plastic. It's probably coming off this stuff floating around. I'm going to tell them when they get back, you got to get rid of this. What the hell is this? I should just throw it in the garbage just to be playing hardball. Where's my plant? I threw it in the garbage. There wasn't no plant. What was we doing? Throw this in the garbage. What a great example. I'm thinking I'm showing you a plant that's probably adding some oxygen into this room, and this is plastic. You can't make this stuff up. You can't make this up. There's no way in the world I would have a plastic plant. That's absolutely crazy. I want to toss it, but I want to make them toss it so they can go through the mental. I want to give them the opportunity to go through the mental. They're going to throw it away too once I break it down. Like, hey, do you understand what you got in here? This is plastic. Get some real plants in your house too. You should have plants in your house. You know what I'm saying? You should have plants. That's the one thing I don't have yet is plants. But I do got a window and I buy a lot of plants, but I got to get some plants in my office because they'll clean the air for you and provide oxygen and other healing factors. Because like I said, we haven't done the thorough research on the plants. But we are getting to the point where we're able now to go back to how it used to be. See, when I was a child, our candy was plant-based. Our food was plant-based. But they wanted to, and our clothes was plant-based. Our clothes was cotton and stuff like that and silk. And so at the same time, they started making all these artificial flavors and colorings and putting it in the candy. was the same time they started making all this polyester and stuff and putting it on our bodies. So there was a whole time period as you go into the 70s where they started making everything artificial. Like Jolly Ranchers. When I was little, they used to be called wine candies. And they used to be made with real fruit, to the point that the red wine candies, what you now call Jolly Ranchers, parents wouldn't let the little kids eat them. So if you was like kindergarten, first grade, second grade, your mother would say, "Give me those red ones." You know why? Because it was called wine candy. And if you ate a couple of them red ones, you would be kind of tipsy. The kids would be giggling tipsy. So I said, the kids getting drunk off of these red ones. So your mother wouldn't let you eat the cherry ones. The cherry ones, they wouldn't let you eat those because it was really cherries and they get you drunk. My mother told me when she was growing up in Alabama, my grandfather had a cherry tree and she used to watch the birds come and eat the cherries. And she said the birds would come and eat the cherries that fall off the tree. And she said after they eat so many, they would just fall out on the ground with their feet straight up in the air. And you look under the tree and it's like 10, 15 birds just laying, 5 birds, depending on how many came, just laying under the tree. And she said they would just fall back and lay under the tree and be drunk. And she said she would watch them. And she said maybe after 45 minutes or an hour, you see their feet start moving, they get up and then they fly off. But when they would eat the cherries, they would get drunk. My mother told me she watched birds get drunk off of cherries. So our candy used to be all natural, like Hostess fruit pies when I was little. When you would buy a Hostess fruit pie, bite it, it was real big slices of apple in there. There was really apple and apple gel in there. Whole wheat, like real wheat, real 100% sugar. By the time I got older, it was just gel in there. Hostess used to also have a cherry pie. When I was young, a Hostess cherry pie, it was a dark red. Cherries is a dark, almost burgundy. So when you would get a Hostess cherry pie, it was dark red. It was real cherries. 15 years later, it was this bright red. Fake, artificial stuff is in it. There was no more fruit in the fruit pie. It was just gel, which wasn't even made from fruit. It was just apple flavored gel, cherry, so-called cherry flavored. So they began to water down all the food. And so now think of all these years. I've been plant-based 47 years. Imagine 47 years of me eating artificial flavors, artificial coloring, a whole bunch of animal products, and a whole bunch of cheese and dairy. Man, I'd be messed up. My father used to be like kind of a slim kind of man. By the time my father got like 40, he was kind of chunky from all the meat and cheese and stuff, right? And then people say, well, Pharaoh had made him big and strong. Let me tell you something. But when he passed away, when he got older, when he got in his 80s, he was all skin and bones. Digestive system gone. His waist just coming out runny. So I used to look and say, so they tell you to eat this stuff to be big and strong, but he died, skin and bones. He lived skin and bones for years. For years, like the last 15, 20 years of his life. All of that didn't even work no more. It had totally destroyed his digestive system. Totally. And you think this man ate all this meat all these years, and now he's just skin and bones. Had dementia, Alzheimer's. They didn't even know which one he had. He didn't know where he was at. A lot of times, stand up, don't know to take another step, mind gone. Where that stuff that ate your brain up. That stuff will eat your brain up. You won't be able to think. You won't be able to comprehend. You won't be able to do anything eating that stuff. Whereas my old relatives, older than them, they were sharp all the way to 100 years old, 90 years old, 100 years old. They didn't have no dementia. My great grandmother lived to 117 years, and she knew where she was at, knew everything was going on all the way the whole time. But they ate a lot of vegetables and fruit. They ate lots and lots and lots of fruit. The way black people have changed is we used to eat way more fruit. We basically ate breakfast, then fruit all during the day, and then dinner. And then a lot of times, an hour or two after dinner, more fruit. Fruit was a staple in the black community. I got a project I'm going to work on to try to bring that back. Because fruit used to be a staple. And we got to bring that back. Not only do we have to bring it back, we have to bring back real fruit. Because some of this fruit, when you buy out of season fruit, they done soaked it in some type of chemical and then sprayed a coating on it so that it'll last for a year. And you buy out of season fruit that's full of chemicals. Because we living in a society where they want everybody to go work a job and ain't nobody growing their own food, ain't nobody growing no food. Now y'all left a burden with them to feed us, and they can't feed us. The system cannot feed all these people on this planet. Let's just take America. The American system cannot feed us. They have to do all type of chemical tricks to feed us. They're not going to be able to feed us healthy food, all of us like that. The only way we're going to have healthy food is a lot of us going to have to grow our own food. You're going to have to grow food for your neighbors and stuff. The whole structure. That's why I believe that Mother Nature is going to tear all this up, because it's already set up the wrong way. It has to be tore up and redone. When I was a kid, 2, 3, 4, 5 years old, all the way to 10, 11, Chicago was full of fruit trees, full of them. There were apple and pear trees all over Chicago, all over. We used to throw the apples, have apple fights. There was apples all over. There were sunflowers everywhere. You don't see a sunflower nowhere. Every summer when the winter's over, big old sunflowers would sprout up. Where did they all go? All of a sudden you look up and men is out there spraying, talking about they spraying for mosquitoes. And then you don't see no more sunflowers. Once they start selling sunflower seeds, magically all the sunflowers disappeared. You know why they disappeared, because they can't sell you sunflower seeds if you're growing them yourself. This is why they want to come out with GMO, because with GMO, you can't plant the seed back. You got to buy more seeds. So with GMO fruit, even if it got a seed in it, the seed ain't no good. So this way they can constantly sell you GMO seeds. They don't want you to be able to buy a watermelon. Like when I was a kid, my mom bought a watermelon. I took the seeds, planted them on the side of the house, and grew some watermelons. They don't want you to do that. Same with the ganja. They want to sell you ganja with no seeds. Therefore, you got to keep going to the dispensary. They don't want you to grow your own. But they can't supply you. They're going to make us all sick. So look, man, y'all eat better, take care of yourself. Eat better. Eat better. So you don't be having to deal with one of these cancer days that they got. You know what I'm saying? Eat better, take care of yourself. You know what I'm saying? V is for vegan and for victory.